YouTube video, and I just like to say welcome. We're all excited to see you, and I guess the floor will be yours as soon as our IT guy takes it, maybe gets the volume checked.
Can you even hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. You're a little echoey, so I might need Jason to help me type in any questions or anything, just in case. It might just be part of the feed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're just on the microphone system here.
Oh, you sound good there. That sounds good. Where's this meeting? It looks delicious. I haven't eaten all night.
Pizza place.
It looks good. I want to join the club. I could go for some.
Idaho Pizza Company. Do you have any stories to tell, or?
Oh, I thought I was waiting for you guys.
Oh, sorry.
I thought he said he was fixing something with the audio. I don't know what's going on.
No, we're good. We're good.
No, I'm doing good, guys. I just, you guys were all eating pizza, but I just got done hosting my live show. I had Dealick from Nokta on. We gave away 3 of the brand new triple score detectors. Had 1,500 live stream people in there trying to give them away. It literally ended 10 minutes ago. And then I jumped right on here. So it was an action-packed night. It was supposed to be last week. I had to move it to this week. And then that's why I texted you. Luckily, you guys were Mountain Time and that 2-hour buffer, and they let me do both of them. So I'm a little hoarse, but I'm still stoked for a big night. Can you hear me still?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. It's kind of quiet. Am I just telling a story? Or me just tell stories?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I do this a lot. I talk a lot. Well, if you don't know me, my name is Jason. I go by Hoarder on YouTube. Some of the YouTubers get a bad rap because they're obnoxious, and I get it. I try not to be, but I'm just very excited about the hobby. I'm very passionate about it. I love it. And I love sharing my adventures on the YouTube channel with whoever cares to watch. So if you don't know me, that's fine. If you do know me, that's fine. But I'm a fan of the hobby first, and I just like sharing it. I use Nokta products, but over the years I've used Garrett products, I've used Mind Labs, I use White products. So I have experience with all the different machines out there. A plethora of all. My channel, I go out. There's a group of us, my little gang. There's about 7 of us. Each week we go to a different colonial home. I'm on the East Coast, so a lot of the towns were founded back in the 1600s. So we try to door knock the oldest colonial spots. I try to look at a house and think, well, that place is, no one's going to get that. And that's the one we go knock on the door on. And 9 out of 10 times we get them. So I always say a real key to this hobby is trying to get the chutzpah to go knock on a stranger's door, which is a hard ask for a lot of people. It's an uncomfortable situation. And I know for me, the first couple I did years back, I was sweating at the door. I was stuttering. I didn't know what to say. But like anything in life, as you continue to do it, it gets easier and easier. You can see where the conversation's going. And I already have preset things that I'm going to say from just experience of doing it. When I knock on a door now, I am anticipating a future friendship, because most of the homeowners and property owners that we hunt, we stay in contact with years later. We do 1 or 2 big barbecues every year and invite all the homeowners that we've hunted with. We get big turnouts because I really try to make it not just, can I hunt your property and we sneak around and whatever I find, I put in my pocket. I share the whole day with them. I bring machines for them to use. I show them what I found. If they want anything, hey, you're welcome to it. I've got so much junk. The last thing my wife wants is me to bring home more stuff. So it's an all-inclusive thing, trying to bring people into the hobby, and gets us on some of the oldest virgin ground spots that we even have a chance to. So we've been fortunate enough to find, I'm going to say, some incredible things. I mean, for America, we've all found hammered silver coins, old gold, hundreds of large cents every year. I lost track of the silver. I'm not embellishing when I say probably over 1,000 silver coins in the last 10 years for the group. All sorts of great relics, shoe buckles, and I love buttons. I've got hundreds and hundreds of buttons. So consistency, trying to get on places that no one else can or maybe won't even attempt to, I think really puts my channel at least in a good light, because I go on places that most people probably wouldn't, because that's a difficult thing. People, I get questions all the time. What do I say? What do I do? How do I knock? I wish there was a secret. I wish there was a magical 3-word phrase I could tell you. It's just having the gift of conversation. You're really selling yourself more than anything else. You want them to be comfortable with your presence, and just explain that you love looking for these pieces of history. I think your property is an incredible candidate that's going to have all sorts of lost relics and coins that are otherwise rotting away. I'd love the opportunity to look for them, and you're more than welcome to join me. I'll bring extra machines. Your whole family can come out. And that's the kind of the route that we take. And it's been incredibly rewarding and incredibly successful for me and the whole group because of it. Whew. How's that for a little bio?
That was great.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. I can't hear the crowd too much. So if anyone does have any questions, please let your Jason know, and maybe he can relay them over to me.
Ask him how we got his name.
How'd you come up with the name?
My wife actually came up with the name. Early in my detecting, when I used to go by myself. That's how I started. I didn't know anyone else that detected for old things. I live in New Jersey, and I knew a lot of detectorists, but they're all guys that go to the beach and look for, gold rings that were lost last weekend and things like that. And that didn't really interest me. So I was an oddball that would go knock on old houses, go to old churches. I'd rather find a 200-year-old button than a gold ring, as crazy as that sounds, because I just love the fact that I held something that hasn't been touched in generations. And I didn't know anyone that went, so I went by myself. And it was exciting to find some of these things, but when there's no one around to share it with, it really kind of sucks the energy out of the moment, because I have no one to share it with. I have no one to exclaim happiness. It was just like I had to do like this, like, that's awesome. And that's so I said, I'm going to pull my phone out and I'm going to just commentate to myself, because at least I feel like I'm talking to someone, even if no one's there. And that's how I started my YouTube channel, because I thought the finds were really good. And I said, well, I'm just going to share it with the world, not thinking anything would come of it. Going back 10 years ago, there wasn't nearly as many metal detecting channels on YouTube. There wasn't a lot of views. It was just a way for me to communicate my excitement in the moment. And then I already filmed it. Might as well share it. And maybe I can get other people excited and get them involved. But when you have a YouTube channel, you have to have a YouTube name. One of the very first things I ever found was a bicentennial quarter, that clad quarter that has the different back, because it's, that bicentennial year. And my wife made some sort of a comment like, you must be like a quarter hoarder. And then I was like, oh, that's it. Because to have a YouTube channel, you want your name to be memorable. You want it to be catchy, because especially now, America alone has over 50,000 YouTube channels just for metal detecting. 50,000. Wow. So if you started one now, you need to find ways to separate yourself from the crowd. So a name that people can remember is one of the many important steps. Where if my channel name was Metal Detecting SNJ for Southern New Jersey, you know how many thousands of channels are called Metal Detecting and then the initials of where you are? You're not going to be remembered. So try to think of something witty. You got to put that extra effort in because no one's going to find you. You could have the best lemonade in the world, but if you sell it on a deserted island, what's the point? So everything you do, you have to really think outside the box and put effort in to try to stand out a little bit. And I got fortunate in that light.
Nice.
What's on his bucket list that he hasn't found yet?
Sin, what's on your bucket list of what you haven't found yet?
There's still a lot, it just changes, and I don't try to be braggadocious. Is that the word? Bragocious, whatever it is. I'm not trying to brag. I've been very fortunate that we found a lot of stuff, but there are still things that I wish I would find. I've never found a cap bust quarter. And for most people, you're probably thinking like, well, you'll never find that. But in this area, for us to find coins from the 1700s I don't want to say like I take it for granted, but it's pretty common. And it's not like I have incredible skill or anything. If you lived here and you knocked on the places that we knock on, they're just sitting there waiting. You could have a $50 detector that you bought off of Craigslist, and you're going to find amazing colonial stuff because the spot is the most important. I could have a $20,000 detector, but if I'm at a junky spot and there was nothing there to be found, then there's nothing there to be found. So the spot is number one. So because of that, and we find colonial coins on a pretty regular basis, the cap bust quarter, which is like, 1820s or so, should be something that I should have found over the course of 10 years of doing this. The closest I've come was I was doing a farm about 3 years ago, and I found the bottom edge of a cap bust quarter that was hit by the plow. The coin was sheared in half, and I only found the date. Now, when you find a piece of a coin that has the date, at least you kind of know what the coin is. I know the date. Now, my only thing was, is it a dime or a quarter? And just by the piece, I could tell from the partial circumference, the size. So I knew it was part of a cap bust quarter. That spot, I was probably with about six friends. I called everyone over and I said, guys, I need everyone to help me search this immediate area, hoping I'd find the rest of it. And I called dibs on it because I got the date part. But it wasn't there. I mean, it could have gotten cut in half 100 years ago and pushed, 500 feet away. So I got close to a cap bust quarter, but I don't consider crossing it off the list yet.
So is it just a lot of old houses, or they're like big, almost like plantation kind of houses areas over there?
Well, we don't have a lot of plantations in where I am. New Jersey, a little south of New England. There's not a lot of big land left. New Jersey is incredibly densely populated. So, but there are pockets where there's still some farms and larger areas. A lot of the houses we do are on major roads. It just happens to be, every town has a historic district. And then there's other old houses peppered all through. So we use all sorts of tools. If I'm familiar with the area, I'll know where the old houses are just from driving around living here. I use tools that are maybe unconventional, like Zillow. I'll go on Zillow and I'll look for old houses. I'll look for houses that were for sale now or were that were built before 1850. And then I get a laundry list of them. I'll use that as a starting point. Then, because I detect in a big group, 5, 6, 7 of us, I look for a large yard. I don't want anything super tiny because we've got 5 or 6 people coming on. So I try to look for a large yard. Then I'll use Google Earth and I'll try to zoom in tight and look at the yard. If the yard is very nicely graded away from the house, that's probably fill dirt's been put in over the years. And the good finds are now buried out of reach. I look for yards that are wavy and bumpy, that have big old trees in them. Most likely that's going to be original earth. So once we find 5 or 6 properties that meet the criteria of this would be great, then we got to go out and do the hard part, knock on the door and try to sell ourselves to get on the place. And again, I don't like to be bragocious or whatever the word is, Jay, but I'd say we probably get 9 out of 10 houses that we knock on. I really think it's how you present yourself, and the confidence, but yet not cockiness of your approach to the hobby, and how you word things, and your just your posture and your mannerisms. People will instantly kind of make a judgment call on you. And then because I've done this so long, I have names I can drop of people they know that help solidify us. I join countless historical societies because that also adds some credibility. I mention other neighbors and things like that. And I'll even mention the YouTube channel if I have to. I try not to lead with that because that can be scary to some people too. You know, keep in mind, we're knocking on an old door, a total stranger, asking not even to metal detect the yard, but me and my 5 friends. And then I'm also going to be filming this YouTube video and have cameras and microphones, you know, like the circus comes to town. So I try not to lead with that. I get there eventually, so there's no surprises, but I don't lead with that. Normally we knock on doors during the week, setting them up for, all right, we're going to come back this Saturday, next Saturday. I don't like to do our knocking the day of because I want to be able to go there early in the morning, and we hunt from sun up to sunrise. So we go out during the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, trying to get places, lining them up for the weekends, talking to the property owners, sometimes for hours. They'll invite you through the house, you know, whatever they want to talk about. You get everything out of the way so that by the time we leave there during the week, we're kind of good friends already. You know what I mean? Because you shared hours with them. And I like to think I'm easy to talk to. I'm very personable. I'm very friendly. And if you project that, you often get that back. So, and that's what we do. That's kind of the system. Every Saturday or Sunday, if we have to, we prefer Saturday, we're at another spot. All through the spring, summer, fall, we're knocking on old houses. And then in the winter, when the farm fields are available, they're only available a small window. We like to do the old farm fields. And that's where we normally get the oldest stuff, are in the farm fields. But, you know, around here, the soybeans in the ground till December or January. Then it's hunting season. You got to give the hunters their season. Theirs is even smaller than ours. Typically, we can't get on the farms till around February. And then by the end of March, they're planting. So you only get a small window to knock out these farm fields. So we try to maximize that small window and then back to houses again the rest of the year.
And it's usually with a group of people.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, like I said, once my YouTube, it's funny is, if I don't know if anyone's ever watched my videos, it doesn't matter if you didn't, but there's probably, I said 7, there's probably really like 10 people that every week there'll be a different people from that 10 joining us. It's always me and my partner, Doug, who I nickname Dog Tag Doug, or my favorite, Jane Fawn Doug. It's one of my favorite ones. Me and Doug every week. Then out of the other 7 guys, we try to bring on whoever we can to that spot. So I forget the question now, Jay.
Oh, just how many people normally go?
So yeah.
Or if you go alone or with people?
No, I don't go alone anymore. And I probably would,
First detect.
if no one could make it that week, and out of 8 or 9 guys, usually they can, I would put the house off until the following week, because going by yourself for me now is underwhelming, because I like to share my finds with somebody that can appreciate it. And I want to see their finds. You know, these things have been in the ground for 300 years. They can wait another week, you know? So no, I wouldn't go by myself. I like to go with the group, with my friends, share the day with as many people as I can. We gauge every home, you know, based on the size of the property, based on the initial reaction from the property owner, try to gauge how many of us can get on based on the size, based on their comfort level. Some people might only want 2 or 3. Some might be, oh my, this is the greatest thing I ever heard. Bring all 9 of yous. It's always different. It always varies. And I can't tell you how many people email me or message me and say, oh, I'd love to come join you guys. I'll pay you to come join you guys. But I never know where we're going to be. it's an every week to week thing year round. I don't know where we're going to be next week. Maybe it's a small house that only can fit 2 people. Maybe it'll be a mansion that can fit 12. But you can't base your schedule flying in from another state because I don't know. So it's a challenge. But luckily we all live close and we're flexible. But it's always unique. It's always a stranger. You're always meeting someone new in an area you're not familiar with, you know, and you're walking that crazy line. And, you know, 10 years ago, this whole thing would have seemed like off the wall bizarre to me. But over time, you do it, it becomes now just second nature. You know, when we knock on a door now, I think, man, I can't wait to meet this person. Who's this interesting person that's now going to be in my life? You know, like that's kind of how I think of it. Because if you live in a big, giant, old colonial home, they're expensive. They're not cheap. It's not like that's all you can afford. You chose to live there. So if you chose to live in an old home that doesn't have central air, that probably has foundation cracks and different problems, you must do it because you love some aspect about that old home. So naturally, that person is going to be interested in old things that got pulled out of the ground on their property. They have to be. If they didn't care, they'd buy something brand new and just live, you know, with all the amenities. So I kind of have that in the back of my mind going in, that I know you're interested before you know you're interested. And try to work that into the conversation. I don't say that and seem like some obnoxious jerk, but I know what's going on. You know, like you kind of work with that. I have those tools in the back of my head, so I know what to say. I know what not to say. I know how to get you enthralled and get you excited. And then they let their guard down, and then we can have a more open, robust dialogue. But that first 2 minutes of when they open the door, you better sell yourself, because it's too easy to say, no, thanks. Are you selling solar panels? No, thanks. You know, like you got to get them quick, at least something to pique their interest. No offense if anybody there sells solar panels.
Got a handful of questions. Okay, have you ever approached a property owner who already had a bad experience from other detectorists? If so, what did you say?
Yes, very, very often. You know, I try to be sympathetic and I say, look, there's good and bad in everything. You're going to get people that'll sneak on your land in the middle of the night and trespass. Shameful. You're going to get people that'll tell you, yeah, I'll show you everything I found. And at the end of the day, they tell you, well, all I found is this one smushed shotgun shell. Are they being sincere? Probably not, but I don't know. I wasn't there. I said a bad experience, like anything, really puts a black eye on the hobby. So I try to be very open with them. Listen, you are welcome to join us all day long. I'll bring you a machine. I'll show it how it works. You'll be side by side with me all day. And then if you think I'm still pulling shenanigans, you're going to see the whole day documented on my YouTube channel. It's going to be right there. You know, like it's all transparent. And some of those, sorry, someone's texting me. When you can give someone reassurance like that, listen, there's going to be a good experience here. I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but there's a lot of good in this. So, you know, let's go on this journey together and I'll show you how cool it can be.
Next question.
Okay, what is your best elevator pitch when knocking doors and asking to hunt?
Well, again, there's not a 3-word phrase that I pull out of my pocket like David Copperfield. You answer the door and I immediately have to read your body language. Are you angry that I knocked on your door? Are you intrigued? Are you, like instantly, because that's going to sway my tone, so you have to kind of look at a person like that. I can look at the room right now and see who's interested in me and who's not. You just learn that by seeing how people react to you. So my initial phrase all depends on what I'm seeing from you, reading your body language. And I kind of go down that alley. I'm also, you have to, I don't want to say it's insincere, but there's certain aspects of it that you have to be more malleable. If you like Doberman pinchers, guess what? I like Doberman pinchers. If you hate Doberman pinchers, guess what? Me too. You know what I mean? You have to be flexible, because this is the first time you're seeing someone, a total stranger didn't ask for you to be there. You walked up to their door. You got to keep them interested for that first 2 minutes. And then if you get them, then a dialogue opens up. So the first thing you're trying to do is read the room and try not to get them to just slam the door in your face and then work it from there. But there's not a set thing to say. What works for one person isn't going to work for the next person. Maybe one person is interested in history. The other person's hoping you find a gold treasure chest on there, so everyone's different. And you have to try to read that from their expressions, from just their mannerisms. So there's not one specific thing that I say, but I have preset, 10, 15, roads that my brain's ready to go down based on my reaction from seeing you see me.
Okay. What was your first non-coin?
Oh, gee whiz. Probably a pull tab. I don't even know. I guess I don't even know. My first good non-coin, I don't know. I mean, the relics, all my relics, or most of them at least, I could probably tell you, like all you can, exactly where I was when I found it. Probably within a foot, because you remember them. They really burn and ingrain themselves in your brain. So the relics are just sensational. Where the coins, look, I love finding old coins like anybody does. But I probably have a jar of 300 Mercury dimes. If you handed me any one of them, I couldn't differentiate from another one. I couldn't tell you where I was. So the relics are really, really special. The relics are all I display in my house. My whole downstairs is all relics. I don't display coins. They don't look real good. They lay flat and they're boring. I love finding them, but the relics are really the story of detecting. And a relic's a loose term. It doesn't have to be a hand-forged piece from the 1600s. It could be a Tootsie toy from the 1950s. I still think that's super interesting, and that's all over my house. So even though offhand I can't think of the first, non-coin that I found, if you were here and you picked up any relic, I could probably tell you where I was and exactly where I was on that property when I found it, because those things really burn themselves into your brain.
How about a first coin?
Well, my first coin was the
bicentennial.
bicentennial quarter, which is a clad coin. It's not like I'm bragging about that. But that was the first coin I found. Now, when I say the first coin, that was probably 10, 11 years ago when I picked up the hobby again. To give a quick backstory, when I was a little kid, maybe like 10, 11 years old, I had a paper route. So I had some money. When you're 10 years old and you got $20, you're like Rockefeller, So in the newspaper, I saw someone was selling a used metal detector, and I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. So I saved up my money. It was an old White's, the one with the big bulky control box. It weighed like 11 pounds. It ran on 8D batteries. But I went there and I bought this used machine, and I went around my yard and in the woods, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I didn't find anything good, but I just thought the potential to find good things was awesome. Now, and I used it for probably 3 or 4 months. And then one night, I was 11, I left it outside and it rained and it just got ruined. And that was the end of my detecting experience. But whatever, I was a kid, I moved on. I probably found out about girls. You know how that is when you're 13 years old and find out about girls. So then fast forward 11 years ago, my son was about 10 years old. And for Christmas, we were trying to think what to get the kids. It's always anxiety, what to get the kids. And it popped in my head, oh, I used to love my metal detector. What a great memory I had from it. So I bought my son a metal detector for Christmas. And a few days later, I took him out to a park around the corner. And I was showing him how to use it based on remembering back. And I watched a few YouTube videos on that machine. And we didn't find anything good, some modern coins, some junk, but a flood of memories came back to me of how magical I remembered when I was a kid. So that night, after the first time taking him out, I bought myself a metal detector too. And then we went out together for about 3 weeks, and then he lost interest. But even though he lost interest, I didn't. And I kept going by myself for about maybe a year. Then I started doing the YouTube videos because I wanted someone to share that moment with. And through the YouTube video, people would see me and contact me. And that's how I met every single person that I hunt with now. They email me. And back then, I was a little more nervous about meeting new people. You know, you hear horror stories in the news all the time. So when a stranger, emailed me, hey, I'd love to get together. Let's go meet in the woods. I'm thinking, this guy's going to kill me and leave me for dead. You know what I mean? Like, I was very reluctant. So I finally met one guy, very public area, knowing I wasn't going to find a whole lot. Because by this time, I'm already knocking on old houses. But I didn't want to bring a total stranger with me to an old house because, again, I do all that legwork to set up this stranger to detect their property. What if I invite you and I don't know you? Let's say you come, let's say you got a real bad foul mouth language. That reflects on me. Let's say you're a smoker and you're flicking cigarette butts all over their property. That reflects on me. Or let's say you don't fill in your holes. That reflects on me. So I wasn't bringing a stranger detectorist with me to an old house. We went to a public park so I could kind of feel them out. And, the guy was great. Dog Tag Doug, who I still hunt with today. And then because Doug is opposite of me, where I was very hesitant about strangers. And when I meet a stranger, I have to vet them. I have to ask them because I assume that they might have well intentions, but they don't think things through. Where Doug is the exact opposite, where if you tell Doug something, he takes it for gospel, doesn't matter who you are. As examples, I get emails a lot where people invite me to go hunt with them, which on the surface sounds amazing. How can you turn that down? But I have to vet. They'll say, oh, Jay, you should come out by me and hunt this incredible house from 1712. Ooh, that sounds exciting. Now, Doug would just go. I have to vet them. Oh, do you own this house? Reply, no, I don't know who owns it. I just drive by it every day. Well, you can't just show up and dig holes at someone, so you have to vet the person, the place, because now I'm putting all my trust in them. And I'm too old to get arrested. I'm not going to deal with any of that stuff. So, I have to vet everything to make sure that whatever we do is legit and we're allowed to be there. And we have permission by the right person that can give permission and all that stuff. And again, Jay, I forgot the question because I talk so much.
So one last question, then we'll wrap it up. Was
Okay.
your first detector that White's one, or did you have a separate one that you purchased? Like your first?
No, that was my first detector when I was a kid, 10, 11 years old, that I bought with my own paper out money because, when you have your own money, I was like, yeah, I'm a man now. I'm going to go buy, you know how you are when you're 10. But that was my first one. And I only got about 3 months out of it because of my own, carelessness. And I didn't even really think about it over the years until I was thinking of that gift for my son 30 years later and watching him use his for the first time. All those memories came flooding back from 30 some years ago of how cool it could be and how every hole is like Christmas morning. You don't know what it's going to be. It's like, it's the last frontier of treasure hunting, around here at least, because everything's been explored. Everything is, I'm not like Magellan, where I'm going off to find the unknown. Like I'm looking for things that were already discovered, but lost, and it's that last frontier. And that just got me really excited. And from the second I saw him do it, and then, 2 days later, I had my machine, I still have those same feelings every time I go out, 11 years after that.
What machine was it?
White's.
No, the second.
Oh, the second. What was the second machine? Your.
Well, the second machine, if it's you're talking about the one I bought for my son, I bought him a Garrett Ace 250.
Nice.
And we buy our kids a lot of Christmas presents. So that was one of many things. So I was trying to look at something that was not a gazillion dollars. I didn't know what any of the features meant at the time. I didn't really know. So I was trying to look at machines in that $200 to $300 range. And then I was trying to compare them with my extremely limited knowledge. The last time I used a machine 30 years ago, it was all knobs and needles. You know, what did I know about VDIs and, you know, all this? No idea. So, but from my little bit of research, it looked like Garrett was a reputable name. Didn't know anything about the machine. And, you know, it's a decent beginner machine, still is. I think it's still available today. But when I took him out for those days, 2 days later, when I got my own machine, I thought, well, I'm going to love this. I'm going to spend a little more myself. So I bought the AT Pro. It was pretty new to the market at that point. It was still fairly new whenever this was, maybe 10, 11 years ago. So that was the machine I bought for myself. And then, you know, over the years, like all of us, you seem to accrue more machines because it's the only hobby I do. So, you know, at this point, metal detecting basically consumes my life, you know, because with the YouTube channel, it got to a point big enough where, you know, you get sponsors, and at some level now, instead of just putting a video out because I want to share it, it makes a shift to, it becomes a responsibility to put a video out, because I put a video out every Tuesday for 9 or 10 years. People expect it. So I put this level of responsibility on myself. I have to have one out every Tuesday. 25,000 people are relying on me. You know what I mean? So it becomes all consuming. And not that I'm complaining, I love it, but it really has taken over my life in all positive ways.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, visiting with us. Tell Mark Tominski, Richie Rich from Idaho says hey.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. And good luck to everybody out there. And hopefully you guys all get your bucket listers this year.
What an awesome presentation, huh? That was absolutely fantastic. All right.
All right. We're shutting it
Don't
down.
get
Thanks.
us to leave yet.
All right, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I can't hear you now. Sorry. I cut the audio.
Okay.
So.
I'll send you a message later.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks.